Hey guys, welcome to my channel. So today I am going to talk about my birth story and how this little guy came into the world. So basically everything started well, I guess my labor started January 25th, 2017. I'm not quite sure when. It could have started, the night before, but I didn't know I was in labor. But basically, what happened was January 25th, I woke up and I was not feeling him move at all, which was not normal. Normally, I, would have felt several kicks by maybe 8 o'clock, but by 10 o'clock, I had felt nothing, not even a tiny little flutter. So I was freaking out. And thankfully, I had a regular prenatal checkup appointment at 10:50 that morning. And I called the doctor's office and I said, hey, this is what's up. I haven't felt him move. And they said, okay, just let them know when you check in and maybe they can get you in sooner. So I mentioned it and I go into my appointment and basically they take my weight and blood pressure and do all that. And I mentioned to the nurse, the doctor hadn't even come in yet, and I mentioned to the nurse that I hadn't felt him move. And she was like, okay, I'll, bring it up to the doctor and he'll determine what he wants to do. And 30 seconds later, the nurse comes back in and says, I'm making an executive decision and I'm going to hook you up to an NST. So I'm sitting there, they give me some crackers and some juice to see if he reacts to that, and nothing. His heart rate was fine, it was in the 150s, but they wanted to see it spike up even higher to show movement, which he was not doing even after the 20-30 minutes I was sitting there. So the nurse comes back in and says, okay, we're going to send you over to ultrasound. So I walk over to ultrasound and they try and poke him around, see if he'll move, and still nothing. Once again, his heart rate was fine, but his heart rate wasn't spiking and he wasn't really moving. He moves like a little finger or something like that. And at the hospital I go to, I'm not sure if it's like this at every hospital, but they do a point scale during the ultrasound. And one of the things they look for is breathing. Now, this does not mean that your baby is not breathing. They just look for the chest movements to show that they are practicing breathing. And so basically he scored 0 points for that. And at that point I was just about in tears. I knew his heart rate was fine, but at this point I had no idea what was going on. And so after the ultrasound, I waited a little bit longer and went back into the room, the doctor's room, and the doctor comes in and said, this is what's up, here's what we're gonna do. And he told me that they were going to send me up to labor and delivery just to get monitored. And so I said, okay, that's fine with me. So that's where I went. I walked up to labor and delivery, got changed. The nurses were coming in asking me all these questions, and I was answering them to the best of my ability. And I don't even know what time it was, probably around 1 o'clock by the time I got up there. And the doctor comes in and introduces himself, and he's looking at the monitor, looking at the heart rate, and he asked me, are you feeling these contractions you're having? I said no. I didn't know I was having contractions. And I asked him how regular they were or how far apart they were, and he said that they were pretty regular. They were actually 1 minute apart. I don't know how strong they were. I did not look at the monitor, the little paper thing. So I don't know how strong they were, but They did check me, and I was 4 centimeters, 70% effaced. And this is at 38 weeks and 2 days. So they checked me. The doctor leaves and comes back in and says, maybe it's just a matter of us getting things started for him. So basically, they broke my water. And within 20, not even 20 minutes, I would say, of them breaking my water, the doctor looks at me and says, yeah, he's not liking this new environment. And he also said that there was meconium in my water. So basically, the doctor leaves to talk to another doctor, and they come back in and say, we're going to do this, this, and this. They did the catheter, they did an internal heart rate monitor, and basically within minutes, the next thing I heard was C-section stat, and I am at this point in tears. I don't know if the baby's okay. I am already afraid of hospitals and surgery. I do not handle them well, so that was very difficult for me. And yeah, so as soon as they say that, the nurse hands me all these papers to sign, and I'm bawling my eyes out. And actually, this is right after my fiance had showed up to the hospital, because I called him on my way up to labor and delivery and said, you can bring the hospital bags just in case, but I don't think we're going to need them. And I'm going to be here for a while, so you're welcome to come if you want, but it's up to you. And so he got to the hospital, and I actually sent him back out to get a cell phone charger. But this was before I knew I was going to have a C-section. So he went to Target to go get a cell phone charger. He came back, and that's when the doctor started saying, we're going to do a C-section. And so they handed him a gown, and he was kind of all flustered, didn't really know what was going on. And I'm crying, and they're rushing me out of the room into the OR. And I remember them saying, we're going to give you a spinal. And my biggest thing was, I didn't want that needle in my back. And I did not want an epidural. So I really made sure when they said they were giving me a spinal, I really made sure that it was not an epidural. I asked them several times, are you sure this is not an epidural? Are you sure this is not an epidural? And they said, nope, this is just a spinal. And so they give me the spinal, I get onto my back, and they start. And minutes later, I hear delivery, and I hear him crying. He was born at 2:36 p.m. and I couldn't imagine any gift better than this little guy right here. It was the craziest day of my life, literally, and I would do it all over again for sure. Maybe the only thing I would change is just a little bit of a heads up before all of that drama, I guess you could call it. But that's how he came. And actually, if it was not for that doctor's appointment, I most likely could have had him in class, because my plan that day was to go to class, because I'm still in college, so it's my senior year, and my plan was to go to class that day. And because I didn't know I was in labor, I was just planning on going to the doctor's appointment and going to class. And if I hadn't said anything to the nurse or to the doctors, then I most likely would have had him in class if, you know, if that's what time did. So, thank you guys for watching. It's not a very long birth story, and unfortunately I did not get to video any of it because everything happened so quickly. But thank you guys for watching, and look for my next video. Bye!